How to plan and optimize your life. Today I'm going to share with you my experience of how I set my goals, how I plan, and how I get into the right mindset. It's all about the thinking. First and foremost, I am a huge fan of Stephen Covey and his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I drew a lot of inspiration from his book, but today I'm going to share it through my perspective. So here are 3 points: ownership, leadership, and management. Voila, c'est pas très difficile. So the first one is ownership. Ownership is reckoning that you are the full stake owner of your life, that you are free to make decisions, and you alone are accountable for them. Which means you can't blame other people for the decisions you make. This is a crucial mindset to cultivate, one that I'm still stumbling to master myself. To say, for example, if I'm investing in the stock market and I decide to take advice from a friend or a financial advisor, and it turns out I lose money, then I am in no position to point fingers, because despite receiving ill advice, I was the one who decided to go with it, and thus I have to own up to it. Let's say, for another example, we're in the middle of a football match and the opponent provokes me. I get mad, we get into a serious fight, which is pretty unlikely because I am quite chicken, which I boldly admit. If we end up getting into a serious fight, I am in no place to say, well, he started it. Because yeah, he might have started it, he might have provoked me, but once again, I was the one who decided to get irritated. I could have otherwise decided to not let stupid words get into my head. So what I'm saying is, in the face of external stimuli, there is react, and then there's respond. Letting your limbic system take over and speak for you, well, that's react. Letting reason to take over in that split second, that's respond. And how you respond stems from character, and that is why nurturing character is so consequential. Holding oneself accountable for the thoughts and actions one take, despite the external stimuli, is the act of taking ownership. At least that's how I define it. Thereon, on the basis of that, we can move on to start talking about setting goals and managing life. So the second part is leadership. Leaders give direction, and as the sole leader of your own life, you have to figure that out. When I'm speaking on campus, I love to use Google Map as a figurative example. So what's the first step when you're on the app? You enter your destination, and what you get is a set of calculated routes. From there, you can plan what time to set out, what transportation to take, where to transfer, and about what time is your arrival. Easy. All you have to have is a destination. The same applies to life. As the saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, well, any road will get you there. The clearer your destination, the more effectively you can pre-plan your route. Easier said than done, I know. Let's break it down so we can further better understand how to actually put this into practice. There are goals and there are visions. The ideal scenario is that each goal leads you one step closer to your vision. Goals are tangible, often quantifiable objectives, things like making money, getting in shape, passing the bar exam, while on the other hand, visions are more intangible. They are the bigger picture images of the future. A good way to dive deep and discover your vision would be to picture yourself in the twilight of your life. It takes a little imagination, but ask yourself, what kind of person do I wish I had become? What kind of legacy do I wish to leave behind? What accomplishments do I wish I had achieved? Another quote I bet you've heard before: no one on his deathbed ever said, I wish I had spent more time at work. If vision is purpose, then goals are means to an end. When I was 23, which was a long time, long, super duper long time ago, I thoroughly thought through my life and wrote down my aspirations. My vision was to become a person who promotes goodness in humanity and faith in God. I know it sounds naive. And accordingly, I drew up a life plan. More than a decade later, I get prompted by a student question while I was speaking on campus to rethink my life. So I actually took the time to rethink and rewrite my vision, and my answer was to be rich in faith and save as many lives as possible. Rather similar to what I'd written when I was 23, because visions stem from value and value from character, and these two things are extremely difficult to sway. So as the leader of your life, you are responsible for choosing that solid direction. That is number 2, lead your life. And the third part and last is manage your life. I graduated from business school, so I like to explain things from a business perspective. Leadership and management, they're what we often hear: do the right thing and do the thing right. That's the correlation between these two. Leadership points out the direction, and management goes in that direction, working in that direction in the most efficient way possible. One of the mistakes we often make is we start running our butts off even before we've decided where to go. If you think of it, it's silly. But even with a crystal clear destination, running wildly towards it isn't necessarily the best approach. Stephen Covey mentioned this crucial concept, the PPC balance, the balance between production and production capacity. Let's take a simple example from YouTubers. Creators spend enormous time cranking out content, and over the course of time, inevitably, they run low on material and life experiences to share with their viewers. Because we allow this crazy production schedule to erode our production capacity in the long run. We've invested all our time in producing, but dismissed investing in the one thing that matters the most, ourselves. It's crucial to look after your individual production capacity. How? Well, you might have heard of the well-known 4 quadrants of time management, which divides tasks into 4 categories based on its level of urgency and importance. So there are urgent and important things, not urgent yet important things, and so on. Guess which quadrant concerns production capacity? Quadrant 2. The not urgent yet important things. Those are the things that are consequential yet often get put on the back burner. Things like health, relationships, self-growth, learning, etc., just to name a few. And so to refrain from pushing back on those things, what I do is I write them down on a list and put it up on a whiteboard in my living room. These are things like reading, Bible studying, contemplating plans for advanced studies, health, interpersonal relationships, spending time with family, etc. These are things that are essential to the achieving of my life vision, yet are easily glossed over. And putting them up on a board provides the benefit of accessibility. Whenever I'm checking my schedule, I see my second quadrant tasks. So now when I'm at halftime watching a football match, I take the 15 minutes to do some stretching. When I'm out for lunch, I'm reading the Bible on my smartphone. I'm more aware of making time to meet with friends and family. I also have a life plan which I examine every 3 months, and I keep track of all the measurable categories such as amount of reading, finances, investments, etc., and I adjust my work-life balance accordingly in the next quarter. However, this all cannot be done without starting out with a clear sense of what you want with your life, your vision. And to realize this vision, what goals are required? Occupation, career, money, capabilities, and in what stage of life are they required? Plot it out in reverse order, beginning with the end of your life to the present. Then break down your life plan by year, month, and week. I like to work by weeks, and I plan out the week every prior weekend. And I divide my days into morning working hours and afternoon working hours, even though I work a lot at night too. Remember to give yourself some buffer because you don't want to push yourself too tight. I usually save the weekends for unfinished work, if there's any. And if I manage to get ahead of schedule, well, first of all, there's that dopamine burst. And then I have more free time to invest in my second quadrant tasks, which levels up my production capacity. So that's how I optimize my daily living, reckoning that I am in charge of and responsible for my own well-being, knowing that as the leader of my own life, I am obligated to have that solid vision of my future. And as the manager of my life, my duty is to find the most PPC balanced approach to reach my destination. I hope you liked this video today. Happy New Year, God bless you, and peace.